Hi, good evening. Welcome to Business Live. Coming up tonight, African Union in talks with governments of Nigeria and Benin to resolve issues that have resulted in the closure of Nigeria's border for 4 months now. Also coming up, checking election year overspending, former Deputy Minister of Finance Muna Korte advises Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta to stick to his plans. And passengers traveling by air, especially domestic travelers, are being notified of possible flight cancellations and delays as the Harmattan season approaches. We've got details of these stories and others coming up in this half hour of business news. Tonight, the African Union Commissioner for Trade and Industry, Albert Muchanga, has told Joy Business that the union has begun engagement with the governments of Nigeria and Benin to resolve the issues that resulted in the border closure for more than 4 months now. Nigeria in August this year closed the border with Benin to check uncontrolled smuggling. Mr. Muchanga disclosed that the AU has intervened and discussions are underway to open the border. Here is Ebenezer Sabute's report.
The government of Nigeria ordered the closure of its borders to check the influx of smuggled goods on its market, making local production less competitive, a move that has been criticized by many as a bad initiative in the wake of efforts to promote intra-African trade. According to the African Union Commissioner for Trade and Industry, Albert Muchanga, the AU has intervened and discussions are underway to get the issues resolved.
We have been in touch with both the governments, the government of Nigeria and the government of Benin. They are really working very closely together to ensure that these issues are resolved. It's part of what I call the birth pangs of the African continental free trade area. There are certain issues which may emerge and may not be in accord with what we are trying to go in. It is to be expected. Life is like that. Life is never a straight line. So along the way, we are going to find the similar issues from all quarters. No country is immune, no region is immune.
Meanwhile, Mr. Muchanga has also been assuring all member states of the African Union that signed to the Continental Free Trade Agreement that there is going to be a mechanism to ensure that such issues don't occur when the agreement kicks off in July next year.
And we're also coming up with a program of monitoring, eliminating non-tariff barriers in real time when they happen. A number of non-tariff barriers exist, such as roadblocks and the other administrative issues. Whenever it occurs, it is going to be brought into play. And we approach those people involved to say, you stop it. And the technical barriers to trade, like standards, we are harmonizing those. Then a number of countries have regulations around the continent. So we are going to promote a framework of regulatory cooperation. So on that basis, we are creating a foundation for an integrated one Africa market. And when we have achieved that, there will be complete harmony and goods will be able to move freely across the continent.
Ghanaian businesses have been heavily affected by the move by the Nigerian government.
While still with matters relating to the sub-region, Country Director of CAS International, Apia Kusi-Adumako, is concerned the move by the French West African countries to reform the CFA Franc and rename it the ECO could stall the progress made in creating a common currency for the West African market. The French West African countries agreed to cut financial links with Paris. Under the deal, the ECO will remain pegged to the euro, but the African countries in the bloc that use the CFA won't have to keep 50% of their reserves in the French treasury, and there will no longer be a French representative on the country's union's board. But Mr. Kusi-Adumako says the deal further gives Europeans influence over the region's monetary affairs.
I think I also say that France and Francophone Africa have always been trying to see themselves different from the Anglophone. And why would they take this decision on the blind side of ECOWAS? I think it is not the best for the region for them to have taken the lead, but now they are going to tie ECOWAS hands into joining the ECO. Of course, the name ECO is what the ECOWAS wanted to use. Now that the majority bloc in West Africa have decided to go by the ECO, again, ECOWAS hands is tied to also join them. But now it is also true that in the past, when we set up the convergence criteria, one or two countries will meet it and others may not meet it. Now, the new rule is that by July next year, whichever country, if it's one single country that has met the criteria, that country will start using the currency and then the others will join. I think that is the way to go. And I don't know how ECOWAS is also going to handle this issue of Francophone, the ECO, ahead of the whole regional bloc going for the common currency. So we wait to see the direction of the ECOWAS bloc on this issue.
So how about our own currency? The Ghana cedi yesterday recorded some marginal stability against the dollar on the interbank market. It ended trading posting 5 cedi 68 pesos, a slight recovery against the US dollar. But what should we make of this? Here's George Afe's report.
The local currency has been witnessing some slight recovery in terms of the various quotes that the banks are offering against a dollar. It closed last week trading at around 5 Ghana cedis 78 pesos. Players in the market are attributing this to the news of the planned Eurobond sale, possibly from the middle of January 2020, and a slowdown in dollar demand by the businesses to cover their imports. For some, the development may back arguments that one of the major drivers of the city's sharp depreciation has to do with sentiments and fears that things could worsen in the coming months, or let's say if businesses have the slightest fear that the Bank of Ghana may not have an improved forex position or reserves by the first quarter of next year, then there might be a good time for them to go out and demand more dollars now when they don't actually need it. Now, compared to the past 2 weeks where we saw the cedi virtually depreciating every day, it has witnessed some slight stability. But the $1 million question that might be begging for some answers is whether this is a sign that the recent troubles that hit the cedi are over. Well, some analysts think that the pressure has just reduced a little bit, and the real test might come up again in the first quarter of 2020 when businesses begin another round of imports to restock for the rest of the year, as well as multinationals that will be remitting profits and dividend to their shareholders outside the country.
Now, former Deputy Minister of Finance Mona Quartey has advised the Minister of Finance Ken Ofori-Atta to stick to his plans to keep spending in line with program targets. She was speaking to Joy Business as we wind down the 2019 business year. Madam Quartey believes overspending in non-critical areas will be detrimental to the economy.
In all sincerity, I do wish Ken the very best going into an election year. The pressure is from external, and when I say external, still within Ghana, but from people outside his political group and even from inside as well. So the minister should be careful about pressure. He should keep to his plan and to the goal that he wants to achieve. I've heard him say that he will not overspend. I remember that we also said the same, that we will not overspend in election year. However, I do want to state that most of the overspending that was done in 2016, the run-up to the election time, was on infrastructure, and that is valuable. That is just converting cash into an asset that can be used to bring in more funds. I mean, if you recall the flyover at Circle, that reduced traffic considerably. For transport owners, it meant that they had a higher return on their investment as they plowed back and forth. For the hospitals, it meant that ambulances could move faster to Kolebu. So there's definitely been a great benefit to that expenditure. If this government will spend on infrastructure, and I heard them talk about the year of roads, that would be brilliant. If they even spent on roads and therefore had a slippage, I would not be one to accuse them of anything, because they have shown that here is the asset for which there was spending. But if we have expenditure slippages that do not translate into any tangible assets, then that will be a real pity. And I say so because then it's a pity for Ghana, because it's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. We hope and pray that they will not overspend on what is not necessary, but if there will be any expenditure at all, that it will be on an asset that the whole country can benefit from. I also hope that even as they go out to raise more money to fulfill the plans they want to do, that they will do that in a prudent manner and not overburden the nation with too much debt, and especially debt servicing, because interest rates sometimes appear as if they are low, but they start to ratchet up, as we saw in some of the other bonds that were issued. And then we find ourselves with very high debt servicing. So I'd plead with the Minister of Finance to be cautious, to stick to his guns, and make sure that he does not allow pressure to push him in a direction that will not be helpful to Ghana.
Well, as we look into 2020, the Deputy Managing Director of Societe Generale Ghana, Ernest Kweche, says the banking sector has gotten to the stage of yielding positive results following the recent cleanup of the sector. He has expressed optimism banks would release positive financial statements if only they will comply with the regulator's new directives. Mr. Kweche spoke to Joy Business at the 4th mini-draw of the Deposit and Win promotion, which saw some customers of his bank receive various awards, including television sets and gift vouchers.
Compared to what we normally get in the normal trend, we see some significant addition of the deposit, and this was the purpose of this campaign, because obviously, we are able to, get more customers to be interested by the rewards that they may be able to gain from this deposit campaign. What I already mentioned in another occasion is that we welcome very much all the measures that the Bank of Ghana have been putting through in the sectors. I think it's been very important to clean a little bit, the banking sectors. I think banking sectors is very critical for the economy of the country. It's very critical for, all Ghanaians, with you and I, to make sure that our money is safe. It's important to make sure that the banking sector is there to support the growth of the economy, to support the small businesses, to support also the large corporate, but overall it's critical for have I would say, a clean banking sector. And we believe that all the measures which have been put in place in terms of additional capital, in terms of governance, in terms of, all other measures to make sure that we have a more good visibility in all the flows going through the systems is important. Even the compliance that we have been going through as a banking sector is important, actually, to secure the environment and secure the, the various actors who are involved, in the economy, and also the depositors, obviously.
In other news, over 6,500 former workers of Anglo Gold Ashanti Obuasi Mine are demanding government releases money from their heritage fund established over 100 years ago. The ex-employees have no idea how much has accrued to the fund set up in 1897 to cater for workers when operations ceased. The agitated former workers say following the closure of the mine in 2014, they initiated a process to retrieve the money. They claim to have discovered the fund had been transferred to government by the mine for onward payment to potential beneficiaries. Isaac Esedu speaks for the aggrieved ex-workers of Anglo Gold Ashanti.
In or around 1897, a heritage fund, therein after referred to as the fund, was instituted by the ex-Wild Ashanti Goldfields Corporation, which was meant to benefit the workforce of the company who would still be in the employment of the company at the time when the company ceases mining operations in Obuasi. The Ashanti Goldfields subsequently became the Ashanti Goldfields Company and was subsequently taken over by Anglo Gold Ashanti AGA Obuasi. In or around 2014, the operations of the company collapsed. It was seized, and the workforce of the company at that time became entitled to benefit from the heritage fund of the company. After the company's operations were closed in 2014, we, the workers, started the processes of claiming our benefit under the said fund, and it got to a point when we had information that the fund had been given to the government by the company for onward payment to its beneficiaries. On 26 June 2018, the representatives of the workers met with the President of Ghana His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo at the Jubilee House, Accra, to draw his attention to the fund and had discussions with him about it. We presented the necessary document regarding the fund to him upon the said meeting. The President referred us to the Deputy Chief of Staff, Asenso Boakye, and told him to liaise with the Minister for Mines, for Lands and Natural Resources, the then Peter Amewu, to address the issue. After the said meeting, we have done a number of follow-ups, and our information is that all the necessary processes have been undertaken towards the release of the funds to the beneficiaries. But it is only left with the President to give the green light for the said money to be paid to 8 beneficiaries. Regrettably, however, the President has still not done what is requested for the release of the money to the beneficiaries, to the ex-Anglo workers who were retrenched in the year 2013 and 2014 November respectively. There are 6,500 workers plus their wives, and plus by average, there are 2 or 3 children. You can make the calculations now. We are not going to allow them to vote in the coming 2020 election. So we are giving the government a very little time, as a matter of urgency, to release this money to 8 beneficiaries. Else, something greater than this is about to happen. Thank you.
Interesting developments there. Well, away to other news, the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, GCAA, has served notice to passengers traveling by air of potential challenges to the smooth operations of airlines, especially domestic ones, during the Harmattan season. According to the regulator, the season, which is characterized by dry and dusty winds, causes poor visibility conditions, which in extreme cases can lead to flight delays, diversions, and possible cancellations, especially where air-to-ground visibility is poor. More in this report.
The poor visibility conditions arising from the Harmattan period could, in extreme cases, lead to flight delays, diversions, and possible cancellations, especially where the air-to-ground visibility is below the GCAA or the airline's prescribed aerodrome operating minima. It is expected that the Harmattan effect will be severe at the Kumasi, Tamale, and Wa airports, which are in the northern sector of the Accra Flight Information Region.
Yeah, the Harmattan is seasonal. It comes with a lot of dust and very poor visibility for aircraft. And the pilots on final approach who don't want to land blindly, it's risky. You cannot see the runway and you don't know what objects are in the runway. So below a certain level of visibility, the pilots may not land. They may divert to a neighboring airport. Or for short flights like from Kumasi or Tamale, they're able to get the weather conditions in Accra. So if the visibility is very low, then the pilots make a decision not to take off at all. They will rather want to delay the flight till visibility improves. So it's being done for our own safety.
In this regard, the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority is entreating the traveling public to exercise maximum patience during the Harmattan period should scheduled flight operations be disrupted. The regulator, however, assures the general public of its commitment to maintaining the highest standards of aviation safety in the country.
Now, beverage producer SBC Beverages, manufacturers of Pepsi, have introduced a new product, Mountain Dew, to provide more options for consumers during the holidays.
Already selling in several stores worldwide, Mountain Dew became the latest addition to SBC Beverage Ghana Limited range of soft drinks, which includes Pepsi, Mirinda, and 7-Up. According to the CEO of the company, the introduction of the drink is to provide variety for consumers as part of the holiday season.
It's a lemon-based drink, and there is no close competitor of this brand even the worldwide. So that's why we have chosen this product that we should bring it to Ghana for our cherished customers, because SBC Ghana always tried its level best to give Ghana customers or consumers the best quality product, and like Pepsi Cola, 7-Up, Mirinda, or our existing very famous and hard-selling brands in the market right now. So we chose this period, especially the Christmas, and because it's a hot season, and December is the best month to launch the product. And on top of it, we would like to give Ghana consumer a gift of Christmas in the shape of our new product, which is Mountain Dew.
With the price pegged at 1 Ghana cedi per bottle, the CEO is optimistic the low price will allow them to dominate the beverage market.
We tried our level best to give our consumer the best quality product at the lowest price point. You know, the market is very competitive. The PET beer brands which are available in the market, like there are other players in the market as well, like 10, 12 big players in the market, in addition to Coke and 10/10. There are too many brands, and their price is like around 1.2 Ghana cedi price. They are selling it at 1.2 Ghana cedi price point, right? So this is what we have decided, because this is a magic price point.
The company looks to introduce more flavors onto the market in the coming year. For Joy Business, Sheila Tamaklo reporting.
Welcome back. Just to remind you, more news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Daryl Kwao. Thanks for watching. We will be right back, same time tomorrow.